Well, hi there, food friends. It's Kevin.
And Marianne behind the camera.
And welcome to Cavalcade of Food. And you know what, Mare?
What?
We are going to take a look today at electric roasters.
Okay.
All right? So these are probably the largest small appliance that I have in terms of their size and weight. Follow me, Mare. We'll come around. We've got the big Cavalcade roaster roundup right here. And we're going to take a look at some of these beauties and talk a little bit about them. And I think a good place to start is here in the Westinghouse section. So I'm not sure which company was first with the roaster. If it was Westinghouse, if it was Nesco, might have even have been somebody else, I don't know. But roasters really started coming onto the market in the 1930s. And a couple of companies made them from that time right up into the 1970s. And in the case of Nesco, they're still making them now. You can go online, they have a website. You can go to some of the big box stores and you can buy a brand new Nesco electric roaster right now. So they still make them. And a lot of people buy them there for like an extra oven.
Yep. Put a turkey in.
Exactly right. A turkey. A lot of people, matter of fact, some people even call them turkey roasters, okay? Although they do it, they will roast a turkey and a lot of other things, and they'll also bake. I've made pies. Matter of fact, there's a Cavalcade episode, not quite sure which one, but where I made a cranberry pie. And so, I think that was it. And I made it in the roaster. So they bake as well. But we're going to take a look at these. Here's the Westinghouse. Now, we're going to start in the 1930s. Come in a little closer, Mary, because I want people to see some of the detail here. This is, you can see, very Art Deco in terms of its style. Westinghouse roaster grill. And then here is the thermostat. It goes from 150 up to 550 degrees. There's a light here that comes on. But Mir, look at this handle. It's worn, it's wood. It's made out of wood. It's got a metal lid and it's enamel covered, but the top and the side handles are actually black wood that has been painted black. Even the feet on here are made out of wood, okay, that have been painted black. Then we move on to the Westinghouse. This is called, they called it the auto meal, M-E-A-L, because the idea was you could cook a whole meal in a Westinghouse roaster. And it's kind of got this cool little, again, very Art Deco. Looks like a lady holding a chicken or something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And this is the next generation. Again, now we're getting into plastic handles. And then down below, now we're in the 1940s with the Westinghouse roaster oven. This lights up like a thermometer. And then here's a little later edition. And then we go over here. It's the same. This one has a chrome trim. This one has blue. Then as we get into the 1949 to about 1953, 54, you've got this style of a Westinghouse roaster. Then from 54 up until the end of the 50s, you're looking at this kind of a Westinghouse roaster, which is very iconic. They made a lot of them. They sold a lot of them during the prosperous 50s. And then we go here. This is a little later, into the very late 50s and early 60s. Here's a Westinghouse stainless steel model. And then Westinghouse got itself out of the small appliance business, and they sold their business to other companies. Now here's Hamilton Beach, but take a look, Mir. You notice anything between the Hamilton Beach and this? See, it's the same body. It's even the same panel here, okay?
Yeah.
Except it says Hamilton Beach. Hamilton Beach bought all the old dies from Westinghouse and started making roasters and selling them under the Hamilton Beach name. Here's one that's another Hamilton Beach. Again, this is a copy of this. Same thing. Again, other Hamilton Beach. These originated as Westinghouse. Here's a Sears automatic roaster oven. This is a Westinghouse form, probably made by Hamilton Beach or Westinghouse, and then marketed as a Sears brand. But let me show you the features. I'm going to use this little cart here to show our friends. Let me pull one off. These are not lightweight, by the way. God, they probably weigh, I don't know, 30 or 35 pounds. So here's the Westinghouse roaster. Now you had options, we'll show them later, where you could buy a cart to have this stand. But a lot of people really use this as a second oven. And here's one. This is the look-through lid, so you could take a peek and see what was cooking without the need of lifting the lid and having a lot of the heat escape. The lid just kind of hangs on the side there on a couple of hooks. So here's what you got. You got this. You have this rack, which could be used in cooking, and the idea was that these utensils that came with the roaster is, you could cook your meat in here, you could cook your potatoes, your vegetable, all in one meal. So Mayor, if you look, you see that? Can you make that out, the W?
Yeah.
That's if you ever see, a lot of these turn up in thrift shops and things like that. You ever see anything imprinted like that? This is a glass dish. Not sure who made it. I bet you one of our friends does out there, though. I don't know if it was Pyrex or Fire King or somebody made it for Westinghouse. Heat-proof glass, and it's got the Westinghouse imprint in it. The cord, of course, which is detachable. And then you have the Westinghouse. It's very hard to see, but right there, there's a W on the lid handle there. And also on the bottom of the glass pan. It almost looks like a loaf pan. But the thing is, these would be hard to get out when this thing is really hot, so they're sitting on this rack, and you just lift the whole thing out. You do like so, and you're ready to go. You've got your whole meal there. So most of the roasters work this way, where they have this is called an insert pan. So this is an enamel covered pan. So this is something that can be easily cleaned in the sink. If you are cooking directly, you would put this in the well. Now, Mayor, how a roaster works is there's electric coils that go all the way around this, okay? Now, Nesco used to call that the circle of heat. That was their little marketing gimmick. But they all sort of worked the same, where you had heat. There might be some coils on the bottom and around the side. So that is what helps evenly cook the food that's in this pan, because an oven, you're heating either from the coil is on the top, or the heat source is on the top, or it's on the bottom. This is all the way around. Okay.
Okay.
And so the principle is the same for all of them.
So it's like a regular oven.
It's like a regular oven, and a lot of Westinghouse really marketed this as a second oven. And then you could use this rack, which was adjustable, and you could use it to bake. You could bake a couple of pies in this thing if you wanted to. You could put your first pie on the bottom, and then you could set this rack on another position, and you could put another pie on top, and they all sort of work that way. But this was perhaps one of the most popular, was the Westinghouse. And underneath, it had what they call, let's see if I can get it out, I'm kind of stuck on this card. Oop, I don't know why. That one doesn't want to cooperate, so we'll get another one. There we go. This is called a time temp shelf. And what this is it pulls out and it tells you exactly for cake and bread and cookies and puddings and pastry, fowl, pork, veal, beef, lamb, the heat settings where you should set your roaster, and the roasting time, so that it kind of took the guesswork out of it. So there's the Westinghouse. Oh, that one is stuck. I will have to work on that. So now we come down over here, Mayor, and we get to the Nesco. Nesco had been in business since the late 1800s, I think, and they made all kinds of enamelware, pots and pans, things that were stamped out of metal. That was their business. How they decided to get into the roaster business, I don't know. It's probably an interesting story. But here's an early Nesco roaster. It's oval shaped. Again, it says Nesco right on the lid. It's kind of a creamy beige color, and check this out, Mayor. Unlike Westinghouse, which has the glass pans, the Nesco, again, they were in the metal business. They have all metal pans. There's even a center pan with a little rack, so you could put a roast in there or a chicken. You could cook your sides in here, and of course, all those come out so that they can be washed. And again, it sits in the insert pan right here. And I think it was oval shaped because at the time, the roasters, most of the roasters that you would put into your oven, your conventional oven, were oval shaped. And so it's like, well, if we make an electric roaster, it should be oval shaped because that's the roaster shape. They didn't get rectangular until Nesco didn't start making the rectangular ones until later. And I don't know if it was because that's what Westinghouse was doing or what. But here's an interesting model, Nesco. And I have this in many variations. This one's a little bit more of a deluxe because the lid opens up automatically with this little, see? This little lever. And here's your thermostat, and there's your pilot light. Check this out, Mayor.
The original
owner's manual, okay? So you got all your recipes in there. And again, except these are enameled metal rather than glass. You have your pans to cook in. You have the rack that lifts out. And then, if you look on the top, Mayor, it says preheat, bake, and roast. So a lot of times the roasters would have a little vent that could be opened and closed. And so when it's on preheat here, the vent is closed. When you move it to bake, it's just open a little bit, and then when you move it to roast, it's opened all the way. So that was a feature that Nesco had, a vented lid. And so you've got all these Nesco roasters here, all variations. Check this baby out. This is the Super Deluxe Nesco Roast Right. This one has a timer so that it will shut off, you know what I mean, after a certain amount of cooking time. And again, Nesco is still making roasters. We'll go down the aisle here, Mayor. I know it's a lot to take in, isn't it?
Yes.
Here's one. Now this is hard to see because they're behind the pole. Look at this old girl here, the Everhot. It has a pilot light that comes on when it's heating that is in the shape of, I think it's a chicken. You see the chef holding it?
Yeah.
And this old baby's been through the mill. It was used a lot. Whoever had it must have really liked it. So here's a later Everhot. These were made in Ohio. Everhot, hard to see. Mayor, I'll slide it over. Here's an Everhot, because if you see it, it looks exactly like that one, except this one is branded Firestone. And you could buy that at your Firestone dealer. And Firestone used to sell stoves and refrigerators and bicycles and all kinds of stuff, kind of like Western Auto did. And they had their own brand. So Everhot made the Firestone roaster. And then I've got some small, aren't these cute? These are small ones. This is called a roasterette. Okay? This is the grandfather of the crock pot. All right? Round, has heat going around the edge, right? The side. Now the only thing about a crock pot is crock pots generally have two heat settings, high and low, and sometimes warm. This one goes from 150 up to 500 degrees, so it's variable, but it works very much like the crock pot. There's a Sears Kenmore down there. Not sure who made that for Sears. One of our food friends might know. Here's a couple of General Electric roasters. So GE was in the roaster business as well. Again, here's another. These things really got, I think for some people, this may have been their primary oven.
Yeah.
But here's a couple of old General Electric models. Then remember I was saying how you could get a stand for these?
Yeah.
So it was optional. It cost more money. But Nesco and Westinghouse both offered stands for their roasters. So here's one, and it was made exactly to fit the roaster. It would sit on top. It says Westinghouse here. Then you had a little cupboard inside where you could put your pots and your pans. These are on wheels, so they slide around. Down here at the bottom, or at the end, Mayor, here's a Westinghouse roaster on a stand. Now this is the deluxe model because this also has the clock that fits inside the door, and you plug the roaster into here. There's a little outlet right there, and then you plug this into the wall, and you set it for the time you want it to start and the time you want it to stop. Fully automatic cooking. How's that for being modern?
Nifty.
Isn't that nifty? Then up here on this shelf, Mayor, I've got some smaller roasters, mostly Nesco's, but here's one. Isn't this mod from the 70s? This is called Potluck by Nesco. And this is, see, look, it says slow cook. So Nesco said, how do we get in on this slow cooker craze that was going on with the crock pots? And so they're like, oh, I know. We'll put a slow cook setting on the roaster that we've been making for years. And so low and slow. So you would set it here on slow cook, which is about 225, and it would slow cook the food just like a slow cooker or a crock pot would. That was what Nesco is doing. Then they had these. These are real pretty. These chrome small roaster. Again, just they have a little rack, cord. The insert comes out, and then look at this little guy. How cute is that? So here's another little tiny. It has a little steamer tray in there in case you wanted to use it as a steamer, and it has your heat setting right here. Well, still have the price tag on. It's like, who's that? Mini Pearl. Okay. And so here's some other Nescos with the different style. Here's the old Nesco logo. Small, large, the oval. But these are like 4-quart, 6-quart style. Most of these larger roasters are anywhere between, they're around a 16, 18 quart size. But the roaster oven is still going strong. I'll tell you, it is great during the holidays if you have one oven and you got a whole lot to cook. You can do your turkey in your roaster oven and then use your big oven to bake all your sides. That's why they're still popular, because it's not practical for everybody to have two ranges in their home. But you can still buy a roaster oven today. I think they're under $50, and of course you can get a great old vintage one like these at a thrift store if you want. There's no moving parts on these, so the only thing that really sometimes the thermostat needs a little adjusting, but there's not a whole lot to these. Again, they're just electric coils wrapped around a cooking well, and the idea is that the heat comes in and cooks the food from all sides. And this is just a great piece of American culinary history and American manufacturing history, because millions of these were made by the different manufacturers, and people bought them for years and are still buying them. And so they do have a place in our cavalcade of small appliances here at the museum. And you know what? It's just been fun sharing these with you. Thanks for coming along for the ride as we took a look at the roaster collection here at Cavalcade. Sister, thank you for doing camera duty.
You're welcome.
I do appreciate it. And you know what, everybody? You all stay strong, stay well, and we're going to look forward to seeing you again soon, right here on Cavalcade of Food. Bye, everybody.
Bye.